Hello viewers, welcome to your program. It is Economic Insight and I'm your host Paul Kingsley. Now, in continuation with the ongoing report we are doing on infrastructure development in Nigeria, today we are in Northstone Shelters Limited, and with us on the program is the principal partner is Olusegun Olubodun. He's with us on the program to give us his own take on the various challenges affecting the sector and also looking at their impacts to the development of our infrastructure. It promises to be an interesting one. Just sit back, relax. I'll be back after this time out. Thank you.
Northstone Shelters Limited is a consortium of highly skilled professionals committed to providing quality shelter solutions to Nigerians and the continent of Africa in general. Mr. Olusegun Olubodun is the principal partner CEO.
My name is Engineer Olusegun Olubodun. I am privileged of God to be the MD CEO of this wonderful company, Northstone Shelters Limited. We are a fully indigenous construction company. We've been able to handle a lot of projects. I'm from a very humble background, the third born of a family of 5, and my dad died when I was very young. That was like long ago. I attended the prestigious University of Ibadan, and I've been able to do a lot in the area of construction in Nigeria. I'm a civil engineer by training. I also had a degree in statistics, and I've also been able to expose myself to the newest technologies in town and in the areas of construction and every other areas around me.
Northstone Shelters Limited is dedicated to superior client services by listening to the needs of its clients and tailoring its skills to match these needs using the best equipment and the most cost-effective methods in the 21st century.
Well, Northstone Shelters Limited is a consortium of highly skilled construction professionals committed to providing high-quality shelter solutions to the Nigerian populace and to the West Africa in general. Northstone Shelters Limited was born out of a burning desire to stimulate a holistic change in the Nigerian construction industry by introducing fast, sustainable, and above all, affordable housing solutions to the Nigerian populace and West Africa in general. We offer prefabricated services, prefabricated building solutions to Nigerian populace. We offer architectural designs, we do real estate management, and we also do urban and regional plannings. And just like I said earlier in the introduction, I said it's a consortium of highly skilled construction professionals. So every services related to construction and infrastructural developments is what we offer, from the conception to the delivery of the project.
Within its short years of existence, the company has successfully executed all kinds of projects to its growing list of clientele, both in government and private sectors, thus securing an enviable reputation for unrivaled quality and technically sophisticated structures.
Northstone Shelters Limited is a company, a construction company just like every other one, and when we're talking about distinguish, we've been able to add value in the oil and gas industry. We've been able to add value in the telecommunication sector, in the banking sector, and amongst others. Mentioning a whole lot of those projects is actually going to take a lot of our time today. But I of note are the shelter solutions we have been able to provide for Nigerian Navy in Borno, the Nigerian Army, and we've also been able to provide short-term accommodation for Nigerian oil and gas industry, which includes the Shell, NNPC, and Chevron. Because the nature of their jobs are nomadic, they move from one location to the other, so they need temporary time-fit accommodations that they can be able to use for that purpose. So we've also been able to add value to Nigerian banking sectors by creating ATM points with containerized solutions that can be able to enable customers to get closer to their banks to get closer to their customers with the ATM solutions.
With its vast experience and excellent track records using innovative building methods, the company has positioned itself as the ideal shelter solution partner for all residential and commercial projects.
Our product is actually unique, and we believe that the product has been around for decades, we think. But it's just that Nigerians have not been embracing the solution. So we wouldn't say okay, maybe it's a new product or it's a new unique product. We've got various options for Nigerians. The various options for Nigerians that actually mean is we've got affordable solutions that can enable them own a home within a very short period of time, and with the quality and standards that is obtainable in developed countries. So we've got containerized solutions, we've got prefabricated solutions. Containerized solutions in the area of, we have about 3 major types of container cabins that we can be able to sell to Nigerians. Prefabricated containers are the ones that you have the wall boards and the steel boards in members, and you come to sites and you can disassemble and assemble them. That's a solution. Also, another solution that we are looking at for Nigerians to be able to probably tap into is the cargo container solution. Cargo container is actually a very rugged and strong solution that will feel that if properly insulated, it can be able to solve a lot of housing challenges in Nigeria. A lot of people have cargo containers lying fallow in their areas and stuff, but it will amaze you what we can be able to do with these cargo containers if given the right opportunities. First off, you need to be able to insulate the cargo containers properly, and in insulating them properly, we have devised a lot of means to be able to enable Nigerians insulate these cargo containers, use them at the very maximum capacity they can serve, and also to be able to create the best aesthetics that the eyes can fall in love with. So that's for the containerized solutions. We also have the cement board solution. The cement board solution is actually a composition of cement, particles of wood boards, and calcium silicates and all that. So when all this are mixed together as a composition, we create cement boards from it. And the other solution that we indigenously and locally invented is the plastic cement solution. When I say plastic cement solution, plastic has been a major problem for the world, and a lot of times we find it very difficult to decompose or disintegrate these plastic bottles and what have you. As a result of that, it clogs our beaches, our drainages, and all other systems that makes our life, our ecosystems generally. So we've been able to harness this and looked at the problem as a global solution, profile a global solution to these problems. So in profiling a global solution to this problem, we decided to start collecting up all these plastic bottles. We'll blend them into small particles, mix them with cement and some other hard mixtures, chemicals that we may not be able to mention on this project. So we started collecting these bottles, we started blending them into small particles, we started mixing them up with cement and some other mixtures. So with this, you can have the wall of your container properly insulated. It insulates it from heat and all weather conditions and also sound. And you can be able to cut it into any size and shape to create the aesthetics that you like. So with this, we feel that, okay, we're solving problems that people can actually relate with. And in solving these problems, we're also creating affordable homes to Nigerians. The brick and mortar solution was not our indigenous solution in the first place. But we try as much as possible to copy it, and we're even copying it more than the people who introduced it to us. The brick in the olden days, before the pre-colonial era, you discover that Nigerians were having normal clay houses with thatched roof on it. Does that mean that we should be immune to civilization? No. But of course, as things grow, we should also try as much as possible to grow with it. When we're having those clay constructions and thatched roof with it, it was our indigenous solution to housing. So when we had the whites come into Nigeria, the Britons, they introduced the brick and mortar solution, limestone and other things. So we became aware of that. And afterwards, it became a way of building for the whole Nigeria. And we don't feel like changing it. We don't feel there's any need for us to change it. So I think the only thing that is constant in life is just change. And we need to be dynamic as a nation. We all out there travel to developed countries of the world. We go to UK, US, Canada and all that. You have prefab buildings there. Some of us have even schooled in those countries and we lived in prefab structures. But when we come back to Nigeria and somebody is offering the same solution, you see somebody knocking on the wall. Like, is this strong enough? Are you sure this one can be able to withstand burglary and stuff? And you'll be wondering, but you lived in this same building, how there? For years, for over 4 or 5 years of your life, you were living in the same prefabricated building and you weren't complaining. But now you're back home and you're like, are you sure you can be able to pound yam? Can I pound yam on it? Can I do this on it? Can I do this? So it's just about the mentality of Nigerians. So in trying to allow them to embrace the change that we desire, we have to give them time and we have to also put much effort in making sure that the product is actually quality and is affordable. When it's affordable and they understand that the quality is much better, I'm very sure everybody will really want to have a prefab home. In short, it's even faster for you to have a prefab home and it saves you much headache.
Housing, they say, is a basic necessity of every man. All over the world, progressive and people-oriented governments make housing a major consideration of their development policies on the well-being of the people. Considering the importance globally attached to housing provision, it is unfortunate that Nigeria's housing profile since independence leaves much to be desired. It is no longer news that Nigeria has a housing deficit in excess of over 17 million units, with an outcome requirement of about 1 million housing units to be constructed yearly to plug this deficit.
Well, first off, I want to tell you, to disappoint you, that it's not 17 million anymore. If the figure was 17 million 4 years ago, and we're still saying 17 million, I think by now it should be around 22 million. Because a graduate that graduated about some years ago right now is in their need of a home. The Nigerian constitution says that when you're 18 years, you're entitled to your own house. So the category of young men that we have at 18 and above right now, I can assure you they are more than 40 million. So if we say 17 million, we're actually like, okay, understating this. But going back to your question, I would say in terms of prefabricated solutions, the challenges people really face in owning a home, if for instance I want to have a home, why do I want a home? I want a home to provide shelter for myself and my family. What are the things I look out for before I decide on the location? I look out for the proximity to my place of work. I look out for the environmental impact on my young family that I'm trying to raise, you understand? And I also look out for maybe a serene environment that I can say, okay, everything that I want is available. There is lights, pipe-borne water, and good infrastructure. But in order for us to be able to attend to this, we need to like dissect it one after the other. If I'm looking for a home closer to my office, most of the offices in Abuja are located in the central area, meaning that I would be thinking about a 2-bedroom flat for my family or 3, which will be going within the range of 2.5, 3 million as the case may be, because it's close to the city center. Then I also need to look at my income. Can my income be able to afford the sort of house that I want, the one that I desire? If it can, then good and fine. But if obviously, which in the case of the country we are right now, I don't think it can. Because presently we have the minimum wage standing at 18,000, thereabouts. If for instance a young graduate, maybe you're starting at level 9 or what have you, maybe like 70,000 or 50,000. If you are looking for a house within 2.5 million range, how many years would you work to be able to get 2.5 million naira to rent a house? And aside from that, you need to feed your family and take care of your home as well. So I really think the deficit is there. The challenge also that we need to like, okay, live in a place that is closer to our office is also there. The challenge that we need to live in a serene environment that would enable our children to be brought up in the way we actually desire is also there. So which are the challenges that you all look into before you can decide on where you wish to have a house? So if we have looked at all these challenges and we've discovered that first, the salary is not covering what will give me the right kind of house that I want. So you'll be thinking about moving to the suburbs. In moving to the suburbs, you have settled for some very kind of low accommodation scheme. In the low accommodation scheme, why do people shy away from moving to the suburbs? One, we talked about it earlier, the proximity to their place of work. If someone is earning 18,000 and is living in Gwagwalada or Kuje, for instance, after transportation, what else will be left for the young man to be able to take care of his family? So that's why you see a lot of people dying to stay within town. So, but the solutions that we are preferring as an organization is we're going to need the help of the government in just allocating land to these young gentlemen. Not to us, because a lot of real estate companies must have bastardized the opportunities of government allocating free land and eventually they turn out to sell it. But we can create like an understanding between the governments and our company. We have a containerized solution, maybe like a cargo container. A cargo container of 40 foot goes for like 500, 600,000, 40 foot cargo container. If you have 2 of these, it's like about ₦1 million naira. So just identify young men within a certain income level that can be able to afford 1 million and allocate a 200 square meter land or 300 for them. Let it not be too big because it's just for starters. When this 200 or 300 square meter land is allocated to them, instruct them that you only can put either a cargo container or a small housing structure that can be able to cater for yourself and your family. And with A cargo container, you know that cargo container being sold for 1 million, just like I said earlier. Of course, you're going to buy doors, buy windows, cut it out, insulate it, maybe additional 1 million. About 2 million thereabouts, you already have a home to yourself. If Nigerians can be talking about allocating land as grazing reserves for cattle, can't we allocate land for our youth to be able to live in a place that they can be comfortable and happy with? If you allocate land for cattle, for crying out loud, what is cattle going to vote for you? If we're going to be talking, are the cattle going to vote? No. These are people that you come, you give us campaign promises and you say, okay, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to solve the housing deficits in Nigeria within so and so period. And these young men are actually on the streets. Some of them are homeless. Some of them are living in deplorable conditions that you cannot dare to talk about. Go to suburbs like Pape, Maraba, Nyanya, Karu, and all the rest of them. You see houses that once you stand up, your head is touching the ceiling. Someone's next kitchen is closer to another next laboratory. You have a septic tank just close to another person's kitchenette. The conditions are bad. So, but if the government can allocate a land, take for instance, in Kuje area, 200 square meters per young man, come with your evidence of employment, that you are employed, and you can be able to have 2 million or 3 million naira in your account. The land cannot be sold. Put that clause, because young men also are funny. They will come, they will get the land, and eventually they will sell it off to go and live wherever they want to live. Then it's not just about allocating this land. Create infrastructures. Let there be road, let there be pipe-borne water, let there be electricity. Then tell these young men, go and buy a small cargo container. And 2, join it together. Cut windows, cut doors, insulate the cargo container, and live inside with your family. 17 million housing deficits can be solved. We have cargo containers in millions lying in people's backyards in Nigeria. People are not using it for anything. It's becoming an environmental problem also, because you see it, some people will just drop it, it will be there for months, years, and decades. So let these things be put into use. Also, these cements and particles of plastic, we are willing, more than willing, to train as many people that would want to learn the technology. Let them learn it, create these boards by themselves, and live in the houses. Then we'll stop talking about this 17 million housing deficit, and nobody is willing to do nothing about it. So for me, I am feeling that if government allocates the land, provide the basic infrastructures that needs to be there, let them also provide transport service, because that is basic. If you provide transport service and you are sure that, okay, the land has been allocated in Govalada, and there is a bus that is conveying you from the youth camp, or let's say family camp, let's just give it a name, family camp. The vehicle conveys you from the family camp and it brings you to city center in the morning at 15 naira. I'm very sure that more than 1 million of our young men looking for houses in the city center will move into these spaces with their family and they'll live happy. Just create basic infrastructure, drainage, road, water, electricity. Tell the young men you are the ones to buy your container by yourself. Insulate it by yourself. If you wish to contract Northstone, we are open to it. If you don't wish to contract Northstone, we can give the guidance to people. Let them go and do it by themselves. But with that, we can be able to, I can assure you that we can solve this housing deficit of 17 million. And some people will also come telling you that, okay, we can have all these deficits gone in 1 year. Trust me, it is not a problem that came about in 1 year. If I tell you I'm going to provide you 1 million house in 1 year, 2 million house in 1 year, I am lying to you. And quote me anywhere, anybody that is saying he or she can provide 2 million, 3 million houses in a year is lying also. Because How long does it take the factory you are shipping from to manufacture? How long does it take you to ship it to Nigeria? How long does it take you to clear it from Nigerian ports? How long does it take you to transfer and transport it to location? How long then does it take you to assemble the said solution? I also import from China. But the few things I import from China, I have tried as much as possible to limit them to things that I feel that I may not be able to get the machineries or the right support in Nigeria. But for everything that I can get in Nigeria, I manufacture and I do my product myself in Nigeria, locally, wholly locally. Nigerian infrastructure says a lot about the country. It tells us that the country is a developing nation because the infrastructures are there to show. How do you rate a country as a developed country? You see good infrastructures, good amenities and stuff. But if you cannot be able to get all these good amenities in the country as such, you understand, you rate the country as a developing nation. So I would say Nigeria is a developing nation. We are not there yet, but we are going to get there. That one we are very sure of. The pace at which we are moving may not be as we would have desired, but the important thing is that we are moving. So because you see a road today that is not being tarred, tomorrow maybe after like 3, 4, 5 years you see that okay, something is actually coming up. So the pace I think is not like good enough as we would have desired, but we are moving. But I know that if we have like okay, very good infrastructures in Nigeria, good roads, pipe-borne water, drainages, electricity, you won't even have to go out there to convince any foreign company or foreign nationals to come and do business. Because when you have, even in the suburbs, if you have very, very good infrastructures and pipe-borne water, lights, roads and stuff, you know that okay, if I can have my product, I can have my factory there, manufacture in the suburbs and bring it into the city center. But right now the city center is stressed because that's where you get almost all the good infrastructures and amenities that you require. So because of that, most companies, if they are even coming, they don't even want to go to the suburbs. They want to stay in the city center where they can be guaranteed of all these amenities. Well, I don't agree to it because I am a professional and I am proud to be one. I would say the reasons why this perception is continued is the fact that we always look for the cheapest solution to anything we want to do in Nigeria. It has been a Nigerian thing. So if, for instance, a professional is charging you 5 million naira to manage your project in a very professional manner, and you have like, okay, 2 million or less, the next thing people start doing is they'll look for a cheaper option. Irregardless of, they don't even care if the fellow is a professional, if he knows what he's doing, as long as his prices are cheaper than what whoever has offered. So they'll go for the person. So at the long run, the project is now bad, then they're now saying that, okay, well, I think it's because of lack of good project management skills. But the first thing we need to consider is the fellow who handled a project that you said the project management skill was bad, is he a professional? Is he certified to carry out that said job? If he or she is certified, then you can say, okay, the professionals are actually not good enough. Does that mean that there are no professionals that are not up to standard? Yes, there are. But the point is that in most cases in Nigeria, you discover that most of the people we hire to do our jobs are not professional to handle such projects. They are not competent. In terms of funding is very important, but getting funding from Nigerian banks right now is like passing a camel through the eye of a needle because Nigerian banks would not give you any facility of any sort, probably. being a contractor, and it's always a very difficult one for us. For us as Northstone Shelters, we are grateful to God. We've got some very good capital base that we've always been working on, and we're always very careful the sort of projects that we undertake. And I believe also that the reasons why most contractors run into problems with projects is the fact that they are too anxious to handle a project. When you get projects, the contractual terms and agreements are actually according to the milestones that you complete. Take for instance, you give me a project which is meant to be a 100% project. I handle it up to 25%. I should be able to get like 15% of what I have spent. If I handle up to 30%, I should be able to get percentage. So it's supposed to be in milestones. And for contractors who would say, okay, I've completed a project of like 900, 800 million and I've not been paid, it begs the question, like, what have you been doing all the while? I'm not saying there's no room for like, okay, having beliefs in some certain clients. You can, but of course you have to manage your exposures as well. Once you have gotten to a level and you have requests for funds and you've not been paid, I don't really feel it is logical to commit more funds into such projects, knowing that no banks will give you funds, you understand, for that. So let's also, talking also about the banks. Nigerian banks, we are grateful to them for helping us keep our funds and for performing transactions. Maybe a client pays into our account and so they're just like, I would say probably conduit pipe. They keep your funds for you. The client pays into your account, you go to the bank, you withdraw, and you do your project. If you are waiting on a Nigerian bank to get you funding, I'm very sure that as an entrepreneur, you may be disappointed. That is number two. And again, even if they give you these funds, the interest rates are so high. It is not a single digit interest rate. You have like double digit interest rates that you have to really contend with. Sometimes it's as high as 23 to 26%, depending on what you are lending for. So if you get this figure at 23% per annum, a Nigerian bank would lend to you today, being probably January, for instance, and immediately the facility hits your account. The next successive months after then, you are expected to start repayments. Take for instance, I borrow 5 million naira from a bank and I needed to buy some items. Maybe, let's say the items I even bought from Lagos. If I have to travel to Lagos, buy the items, bring the items in and all those things, it takes like 1 month away from the... So, and that 1 month, I'm expected to already start repayments. The honest truth is that you cannot be able to repay as a startup. So if you have a startup that you are actually nurturing, before it gets into full gear, you are looking at 3 months before you can say, okay, let me just try and get some funds out of this. And you already started making repayments from the loan that you got from the bank. You got a loan of 1 million and your repayment is supposed to be like 100,000 naira per month. 100,000 naira per month, you have made 300,000 naira repayments without making any profit. Because before you can get into full gear, you need at least about 3 months to 6 months. Does that mean that there are no businesses that you can do and get your profits instantly? No, you can actually get, but in such cases, it is not for SMEs. A young man that has gone to start learning furniture works and what have you, gets a loan of 5 million, his repayments is monthly. I am feeling that the government and also the bankers should be able to like have a certain moratorium for the business owners, such that you can use this period to either gather yourself and be okay. And even after these 3 months, let's say at 3 months you start making profits, you are contending with the issues of lights, with the issues of fueling your generator, with the issues of fuel increase in price, which you have to buy the fuel that you use for production or manufacturing at a very exorbitant price. And with all these problems and issues, how can a medium-scale entrepreneur grow to a bigger level with bank loan? So for me, my advice to any young man out there is don't look for loans. You rather go get maybe some of your uncles, your colleagues, your aunties, your friends that can give you a loan that can be time bound, like, okay, just give me like 6 months, I will repay you back that exact figure. But by the time it's okay, give me 1 year, I'll pay you back with interest, you have already put yourself in a box, because 3 months down the line, the business is still struggling to find its feet. And I'm always a very honest and practical person. At that 3 months, when the business is still struggling to find its feet, and you already started making repayments, there is no way you will not default. And if at the end of it all, you are saved by God and you do not default, you are going to have issues with your staff salaries, with fueling your generator, with even yourself. At the end of it all, you discover that you have done the whole business and you have paid all the money to the bank. I think the Nigerian business settings is actually harsh. It's an harsh environment for young entrepreneurs. We keep telling NYSC corpers and young Nigerians to go and learn a trade. They go ahead and learn the trade. Maybe someone has given his period after service, he has not gotten a good job, he has started learning how to make furnitures in Nigeria. If he or she is making the furnitures and BPP has put up like an advert that please kindly submit quotations to supply furnitures to X and Y organization. This young man who has graduated from school, who the government has said to him, go and learn so and so stuff, and he or she has given his time to learn it diligently, he is not still eligible to be able to compete even in this BPP advert. Number one, BPP will request that he has to go get a certificate of incorporation, which is very correct, because of course you need to know you are dealing with a organization. Of course that costs money. Number two thing, you need to have tax clearance. Number three, you need to have PENCOM, NSITF, and ITF. A young man that has learned furniture, for instance, before you can be able to get PENCOM, you need to have 3 members of your staff minimum that you are paying pensions to. For a young man who has just learned furniture, he does not have anybody, he probably has a wife and a son, and there is no other person that is considered as part of his employees. And you said this young man has to pay he has to pay for 3 persons in terms of pension, and he also has to make some remittances to the government in the area of tax. Immediately you open your shop for business, the local governments are already coming, the authorities are coming, they are receiving X and Y tax. The only period you are giving is when you have not started business. Immediately you start business, you are entitled to start paying tax. I mean, Nigerian governments and our legislators should be able to make legislations that would support young entrepreneurs in this country. If you say a young man should go and be paying pension for 3 employees, he has not even employed 3. You say people should go and learn these trades, they have given their time to learn the trades. They have not employed 3 minimum workers. And if they have not employed 3 staffs, even if he goes ahead and says, okay, to fulfill these conditions, let me employ 3 staffs. He or she has employed the 3 staffs and is paying pension on their behalf. He's also paying salaries. He's also contending with bad electricity problems. He has to fuel his generator. He's also contending with local government taxes, all the other taxes that are applicable. I mean, you need to give us a break. At least I am feeling that someone or somebody in our legislative arm should be able to raise a motion and say to the government, look, for every young entrepreneur that starts a business, at least let's give them like a year, like 3 years to 5 years. And for all these BPP contracts that comes out, there should be like a small concession for all these young people who have said they should go and learn. Because we have said they should learn. Somebody has learned welding works and he wants to get a contract, and he's turned back and say, well, you don't have a tax clearance, you don't have BPP certificates, you don't have PENCOM certificate, and before you get PENCOM, you must be paying at least minimum of 3 persons pension. You must pay ITF, you must pay this, you must pay that. All these things that he pays, where is he getting the money? The UWIN program, government is giving some certain amounts. So if government has given me this certain amount, and I have invested this certain amount in paying all the taxes that are applicable before I start my business, it's just like collecting from my right hand and putting it in my left hand, because I've collected from the government. I've also paid the money back to the government. So if I'm not paying back the program, then the government cannot be able to. So you should be able to, in one way or the other, let there be some ease of doing business for the young men, for the young entrepreneurs. You see, a foreign national will come into Nigeria, which is also something that is really disturbing me. The foreign national comes into Nigeria, he or she is not even probably educated as much as a Nigerian. And he comes into Nigerian business settings with a secondary school certificate, with a technical school certificate, and is earning more than our professors in the university. The professors, some who have labored in making some of us who we are earning peanuts. Lecturers are not earning as much as the expatriates. The expatriate comes into the country and is being given 4 or 5 policemen to guard him. He's being driven around in SUV. His health bills are being taken care of. He's given accommodation. And all these things are not happening to a young Nigerian who is also of a better qualification than that. Until our governments can be able to wake up and say, at least let it be 85 to 15% ratio. Let's have indigenous companies who can be capable of doing something, and let's have a foreign national of 15%. Any job that a Nigerian can do, I don't see a reason why a foreigner should be doing it, because it's not so outside the country. Even if you studied law outside the country, you can't be better than a British lawyer in Britain. So let's value our own. Let's allow that colonial mentality to be gone from us. If I walk into a company right now or into an organization and another white man walks in, the government or whoever would prefer to give the white man a job that I can do, and I will probably not be given. And I'm even more qualified than this white man who is having a technical school certificate, a secondary school certificate, and I am having higher degrees that I believe that he is not even spent that much time in school. So our government needs to do more in the area of legislation. Also, another thing I feel like talking about is the fact that most of all these people who are big name in the Nigerian construction space, be it indigenous or foreign, if I become a big name tomorrow, I feel I deserve to pay more taxes. Most of the big names in Nigerian business settings right now, if they decide to open a plant, maybe a plant to produce something in a village, the next thing, Nigerian governments would deploy all the security apparatus or some of the company of the country's security apparatus to the fellow. You have Nigerian civil defense, more than 20 of them in somebody's plant. You have Nigerian army, more than 20 of them in someone else's plant. You have Nigerian police, more than 25 of them in another plant, securing these people. And also, there is a very good infrastructure in terms of light and electricity. you discover that the PHCN would run a direct supply of 24 hours light to the person's plant. And this same person is paying a single digit tax. All the banks in Nigeria will rush towards that area to open up a branch to be servicing that multinational company. Are we giving the same attention to SMEs? If we give the same attention to SMEs, I bet Nigerians can turn around to be a country of billionaires within months. Because you see, I will not mention names of these companies, but you see them, they have proper security. There is 24 hours light. There is pipe-borne water. There is security, and the tax they are paying is also even lower than the taxes that most of us are paying, on the grounds that they need to give them tax concession because they are employing labor. The same person that is manufacturing pure water or manufacturing bottled water is employing labor. So if you are giving concession to somebody that is employing 100, there should also be concession for somebody that is employing 10. If the person that is employing 100 has constant power supply, the person that is employing 10 should also have. If the person that is employing 100 is entitled to security apparatus of the state, it should also be the same, so that the level playing field can be there, and Nigerian young entrepreneurs can actually take the rightful position in the country. It's been my passion actually to always assist as many young men of my generation that I can be able to. But one thing about our generation is that in life, I believe in processes. Before you can walk, you need to start sitting up, then you need to start crawling, then you need to start taking your first step, then you can then walk and run. But in the present country we are, Nigerians, the youth of my generation, they are so sold out into running without process. The process I mentioned right now, you need to sit up, you need to crawl, you need to take your first step, you need to walk, then you can run. But Nigerians, the young Nigerians, average young Nigerians right now want to run even before they crawl. And we're also sold into competing with each other. I remember a few years back, I made some few millions, and some of my friends are like, you are in the class now, In Nigeria makes his first 100 million. The next thing he starts thinking about is how to buy a Rolls Royce. And that is the youth of my generation. We need to look away from competing with ourselves, because you don't know that person's story. You cannot be able to tell if he has paid his dues or not. He may look the same age, at the same category, or he may even look like yourself. You may even graduate from the same school, but you have not been through the same thing. So I would want the youth of my generation to actually allow process to take its place. There's no wrongdoing in going to your friend or going to any of your colleagues or associates, or even somebody that is a little above you, to learn the curve. Why you feel that the Igbo guys are not always failing in business is because most of them go through internship. They want to learn the curve with someone else's money. They want to take risk with someone else's money. They want to take risk with someone else's experience. But the average Nigerian guy don't want to go through internship, but he wants to start up a business, and starting up the business with his own funds, he has not learned the curves, he has not learned the ropes. So eventually, if he has issues with the same business, he or she may not be able to survive the issue. So what I'm actually advising to young men of my generation is, believe in process. Don't run before you walk. And don't see anybody as your competition. The only competition you have in life is yourself. Don't see anyone like, okay, this person is driving a Rolls Royce. The next thing, if I make my next 100 million, I'm going to buy a Rolls Royce. You are not in the same category. And the sky is very big enough for every bird to soar. you can function in another space and you can be very successful in another space. And I feel that for all the young guys out there like me and every other entrepreneur that God is assisting to be able to get things right, please and please give room for internship. Let the young guys be able to come up to you and say to you that, please, I want to learn your trade. And even the young guys going to learn, please don't go with the opinion that he has to pay me a 500k, a 400k because he's a big boy. I have been opportune to watch the Stanel of this country, Stanel Industries, oil and gas and all that. There's no harm in a young man walking to Stanel Group and saying, please, I just want to learn. And I feel Stanel would not say it's actually too big for me to pay this young man maybe like a 30k or 20k. Sometimes the young guys will be like, why is this guy paying me 20k or 30k when he has so much? Please don't look at what he has. Just go there with the intention to learn the ropes. And once you've been able to learn the ropes, you've understood the curves, then you can start up on your own, then you can start making your own money. That's the only thing that can survive the youth of this generation.